In 97, the Arctic Ocean was covered in thick multi-year ice, and there's hardly any of it left now. It's gone.
How do you keep your team motivated, and what advice could you give to business leaders who are struggling to maybe motivate their team?
I think it's important to keep your team motivated, and you have to remember, for me, some key things. So, how you are with your team, your behavior, you yourself will have an effect on your team. So, when you're feeling that everything is impossible and it's down, well, feel it. We're normal human beings, but then check it. Put your game face on, if you will, and think of all the positivity that you can and portray yourself in that way to your team, because your mood will affect them, and equally their mood affects you. So that for me is really important. The other thing about your team is to remember that it's your job to empower them and to give them a great environment to work in so that they can thrive and not be down. And by that I mean trust them, know that they let them know that they can come to you if they've got problems and you're not going to judge them. Be supportive of them, and actually just remember it's about them. And if you support your whole team and help them to be the best that they can be, then as a team, that to me is when the magic happens.
How important is it that we continue to encourage women to lead and achieve?
It's hugely important to encourage women to lead and achieve. We're just not there enough yet. Women are leading and they are achieving, but not enough. I think we don't have the courage of our own convictions. We don't believe in ourselves enough. So if you don't encourage the women, they may not feel confident, and women have so much to give. We're still underrepresented in sports, sponsorship, business, boardrooms, politics. Women need to be encouraged, and we need more women out there. They need to be accepted more. We need to believe in ourselves more. And when we have an equal world, we'll have a better, more successful world.
How important is a diverse team and inclusive leadership?
I think a diverse team is hugely important. The world is made of diverse people, and everybody is different. If you have a team with the same skills, the same colour skin, the same racial background, the same cultural background, you will always just do the same thing. If you have a mixed team of many different people, all those skills, all those ideas, they will make that team more powerful. They'll make it be able to perform better. And equality comes across the whole range. And it just is for a better, more successful, happier world. And why people think that it's not, I just don't even understand that. So diversity is powerful, it's huge, and it is hugely important.
How do you build mental resilience and then maintain a healthy mindset?
Uh, how do I build? How would I build? Right. So, how do I build mental resilience? I build it just by practicing things. And how do I want to put that? So, how do I build mental resilience? When things go wrong, I will think about that. And at first, I will always start with, I will allow my normal human emotions to come out, because I think that's important. And then when I've allowed that, I start to really think about what's happened. So, for instance, on my first and only solo expedition to the North Pole, I wanted to get to the North Pole as the first woman to do it solely, and all the permits were removed from every expedition that year. So it completely failed. There was nothing I could do about it. No amount of positivity was getting me to the North Pole. It had failed. And at the beginning, I was devastated. And then I began to think about it really. What had happened? I'd had the most amazing journey on the Arctic Ocean on my own. So I'd felt it all. I'd had 5 encounters with polar bears, which was just the most incredible experience. I had done that without really any experience 15 years ago. No money, no experience. And it had stopped on day 21. And it either had stopped because I may have been going to kill myself the next day because some awful thing would have happened, or I might have got to the pole. But I can't say it crushed my dreams because I don't know what the next bit of the journey would be. And so I really thought about it, and I began to feel privileged and enjoy the journey and stop worrying about the fact I hadn't achieved. And what could I do with this knowledge that I had to make my future direction better? So I used my failure to help me to be positive about the future. And that's part of resilience, because we're going to fail small steps. And each time you do it, then just think about the good things, the skills you've learned, and go on to do something else. And if you keep doing that, you will build resilience. Start from school age. If you fail one exam, fine, work harder and get another exam, or do something different. It is a step and a process. So for me, resilience is about taking all those difficult challenges, owning them, and then moving on, and thinking how fortunate you are to do them in the first place.
Okay, so can you describe when you have seen the most shocking effects of global warming firsthand?
Oh gosh, I've seen the shocking effects of global warming so many times. I was part of the Catlin Arctic surveys. It was an expedition put together by Penn Haddow. He was the guy who ran it, and he asked me to pathfind on the expedition. This expedition was measuring the thickness of the North Pole ice cap. The scientists were expecting the thickness to be 1.9 meters or thereabouts. It was less than 1.5. On that expedition, we saw swathes of very thin ice, kilometers of it, open water everywhere, ice that I had never experienced when I first went to the Arctic in 97, not that long ago, and involved in ocean acidification science, which is how the chemistry of our oceans are changing. And I've seen the results of that, which is traumatic. The warming of the oceans, it's particularly for me, it's the Arctic Ocean, the fact that it's less salty because of the freshwater ice caps coming into it. It's all affecting the minutiae of our oceans. And I've seen plastic in the Arctic Ocean, a place that doesn't have many communities that live right on the edge of it. And there's tons of plastic in it. It's horrific. And I've seen that over 20 years. The change is huge. And I know that the way we live our life around the world affects those very ends of the earth. And if that doesn't bother us, what happens at the ends of the world has a knock-on effect on the rest of the world. We're all connected with oceans, weather patterns. It has been an honor to see in one respect, but truly traumatic to see it. And we have to do something about it, and we have to make a difference. And I don't mean just the politicians, which they do, the people that run the world, but equally and individually, we have to take ownership of our actions. We have to speak out how we live our life and make them. And start with supermarkets and their plastic vegetables. You'll know, I could go on forever. Why are we buying vegetables in plastic bags? If we stop buying it from the supermarkets, they won't do it anymore. So we can make a difference, and we should.